Welcome and thank you for joining us for another segment of the Jane Irrigation Training Series. I'm Richard Restuccia, Vice President of Water Management Solutions for Jane. And today we're going to be talking about soil surfactants. And I smile when I say that for a couple of reasons. One, I'm really intrigued by how well these work. And two, soil surfactants might be a word that I wasn't really that familiar with even 12 months ago. So it seems like we've got a lot of people talking about soil surfactants these days. We've got two sides of the coin as to their effectiveness and if people like using them. And when you get a subject like that, it's really fun to talk about. And so to help us talk about it today, I needed to bring in an expert because, as I said, I've really only known about this for about a year. And our expert today is Mike Terry. He works for Precision Laboratories. Mike's a certified crop advisor. He's been in this industry for 15 years. If you heard early on, he's from the Coachella Valley. He's worked with farmers and growers there for many years. He really specializes a lot in the vegetable markets, but he's got a wide array of experience all through agriculture. We're really excited to have him on today to educate us. And, I often say, well, educating us is one thing, but can you actually prove your product works or that soil surfactants work? And he's brought a lot of that information for us today as well. So with that, I want to say good afternoon and welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Richard. It's a pleasure being here. And I can't wait to get started and talk to you guys more about and teach you more about soil surfactants, or as we coin the phrase, irrigation water optimizers, IWOs.
All right, so another. I'm going to have to start a vocabulary page maybe on my blog with all these names, but that's great. So, Mike, is my experience typical? Are more people finding out about soil surfactants in the last couple years than there's been in the last 10? Help us out with that.
So, soil surfactants are not new to the ag industry. On the turf side has actually used soil surfactants since the mid 90s, and Precision was actually the leader in that market space and still is to this day. So you go to a lot of golf courses, they manage their water very well. Their crop is turf, right? And so they have to manage their playing fields and making sure they're fast, smooth surfaces for their players and for tournaments as well. This technology has never really taken off so much in the ag side as it is today, and all the benefits that we've learned to discover from the turf side now.
Okay, well, it's always interesting to find out how far behind I am. So, well, and again, that's another reason why you're on today is we really want to learn about this. And, we've talked about this a couple times, you and I, and found it really interesting. And, last we did was at World Ag last week. And how was World Ag for you guys? Did you see a lot of growers there?
We did see a lot of growers. It was, it was a beautiful weather, so it didn't seem like there's a lot of people there. They're probably out working and getting stuff done as they typically done is, typically when it's raining and miserable and everyone's at the farm show, right? But it was a very good turnout. It was nice getting around and seeing everything this year. Since last year, we did have a virtual event, right? And so it was nice getting out and seeing everything again and interacting with everyone.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, let's see what you have for us today.
All right, perfect. Well, to start, guys, like I said, soil surfactants have nothing new. Everyone's heard of surfactants in the ag industry as far as spray tank adjuvants. Precision goes back. We've been in business for 60 years, providing spray tank adjuvants. And so this is our niche. This is where we are the experts in this field. And so we started IWOs, irrigation water optimizers, quite a few years ago, obviously, like I said, back in 95. And now we're really transitioning it to the ag market and bringing that benefit to the ag side. I have a short video just to kind of give an introduction, and then we'll go on from there. So,
Mike, before you play that video, I just want to remind everybody that we mentioned early on in some of our marketing material for this, we're going to have a giveaway. And Mike's been generous enough to say, if you've got a sizable operation, 500 acres or more, that he will, and we'll do this for good questions, right? We were trying to create some good Q&A here today. For good questions, he'll sponsor. And that's code word for give you free product for 50 acres to try his product out today. So as we see the video and he's presenting more, keep those questions coming, and we'll reach out to you afterwards and get you set up with some sample product.
And not only just for one time trial, Richard, we'll actually do the entire season long, and we want to work together and find some data, make sure it's a fit, find the right product that works for you, and prove it to you guys. So it's not a one and done. We will do a full season on that 50 acres with you guys so we can see it.
That's a generous offer. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are welcome. I will get this video started.
With the joy of live video.
Exactly right.
So,
there we go.
There is increasing competition for every gallon of water in today's world. With over 79 billion gallons used every day for agriculture irrigation, growers need to improve crop yields while using less water and energy. Growers can save water, energy, and reduce costs by auditing irrigation systems, following good agronomic practices, and now by using new, innovative irrigation chemistries. Irrigation chemistries come in two basic types: infiltration surfactants and hydration surfactants. Before we explain these chemistries any further, let's take a look at how soil and water interact. The interaction between water and soil depends on factors such as soil type, soil particle size, soil porosity, and organic matter. Pores in the soil provide for the natural passage and retention of water within the plant root zone. A soil's ability to retain water is related to particle size and organic matter. Soils with fine particle size, such as clay, have more pore space and greater water holding capacity. Coarse soils with larger particle size, such as sand, have less pore space, so water readily moves through it. Water cannot infiltrate tight, dry, water-repellent soils. It bridges cracks and crevices and often runs off. Infiltration surfactants treat water and reduce surface tension and runoff, allowing the water to move uniformly into and throughout the plant root zone. Infiltration surfactant molecules have less lipophilic anchor, which attaches to soil, and more hydrophilic head, which attaches to water. When water treated with an infiltration surfactant is applied to the soil, the lipophilic anchor attaches to the soil surface and pulls the droplets apart. This is called surface tension reduction. Surface tension reduction causes water to infiltrate cracks and crevices in the soil and to move throughout the plant root zone. As water treated with an infiltration surfactant moves more efficiently into the soil, runoff is reduced and nutrients and soil-applied pesticides become more uniform and effective. Hydration surfactants treat the soil and hold water where it's readily available to the plant in the root zone. They maintain water content over time and reduce plant stress. Hydration surfactants have more lipophilic anchor that attaches to organic matter and the waxing coatings on soil particles, and smaller hydrophilic head, which holds water available to the plant over time. The plant easily uses the water held by the hydration surfactant, preventing the plant from going into stress. When the water-holding portion of the hydration surfactant molecule is depleted of water, it waits for rain or irrigation water to replenish its supply. Crops grown on soils treated with hydration surfactants experience less stress and optimize yields, while using less water and the energy required to pump it. At Precision Laboratories, we believe improved water management can change the world and are committed to doing our part through education and innovation. For more information on Precision Laboratories' new irrigation chemistries with infiltration surfactants, hydration surfactants, and combinations of both, contact us at 800-323-6280 or visit precisionlab.com.
So that was a great little video just to show everyone, get an introduction to IWOs, or irrigation surfactants. We use the term IWOs, irrigation water optimizers, We really look forward to being the leader in this market on the ag side as well, since we are the leader in the turf side in the golf course industry. So we have 4 different products that we offer. And go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, so Mike, I think the interesting thing about that video is it clearly, I think it clears up any question people have. I think a lot of people get under the impression that, oh, it's just for clay soil or it's just for sandy soil, but you have 2 different surfactants, one for clay, one for sandy, or maybe a clay loam or a sandy loam. It's a matter of knowing your soil, but there's a product for whatever soil you have to either slow the flow or increase the flow from sitting on the surface and putting it down into the soil.
That's correct, Richard. Actually, we have 4 products, and it really depends on the soil type. So it's really taking the time, understanding your soils. We don't treat the crop, we treat the soil, and benefit from that. You have a healthier crop. And so with that, we, depending on your soil type, where you are, of course, where I'm at down the desert, we have a more of a sandier soil where water just percolates right on through. So a Strata is more of our hydration surfactant, where it can hold that moisture longer in the root zone and slow that water infiltration down, so that the plant has more time to uptake the nutrients and the water in the root zone. Where on the opposite end of the scale is Quicken, that I've seen in our research that we've done with Jane and IDC and AVI through this last year, up in Patterson area, is they just have a runoff issue. It's a very big issue where they're irrigating for 24 hours and they just can't get that 24 hours worth of water in the crop at all. And so Quickens really help drive that moisture down into the soil to the root zone, so those plants can take in those nutrients and soil applied pesticides as well, and really increase its productivity. And then we have a mix of Tolero and Domino in between to kind of fill those gaps. Every field's not uniform, right? You can't have a solid sand. It's not solid clay. You have streaks going through fields. It really depends on your mix of what you have and what fits best in your budget and your cropping cycle and how you irrigate. Strata is a great product. It is a hydration component, but it also blends with fertilizer, as well do our other ones, but they need constant agitation, where Strata will sit in the tank with most of your common fertilizers and custom blend fertilizers for 24 hours with no issues. And so that makes it very appealing to a lot of people because they don't want to add it. That's their only way of injection. Tolero and Domino and Quicken will go into fertilizer, but they will need a constant agitation, or you can inline inject them as well through their irrigation cycles.
So Mike, we have our first question, and unfortunately from an anonymous attendee, and if they'll just reach out to you after, and maybe they'll be ready to do a 50-acre trial for the season. But the question is, can these be used on certified organic fields?
So unfortunately, none of our products are certified organic. Strata is a plant-based product, but some of the polymers we do use to make up the final component don't make it organic, unfortunately. So all our products currently right now are for conventional use, not for organic. We are working on some in the future, but right now, currently, what we have is not organic.
Okay, thank you. And then we've got another question here, and I know you actually have some case studies on lettuce we're going to see, but this person's asking, have these been tried on cranberry fields and lettuce?
Cranberry fields, not so much. We haven't had the opportunity to work with anyone on that.
Caneberries. I'm sorry, my glasses aren't working that well. Caneberry.
So no, not on caneberries. We haven't had a research study on that one yet, but lettuce we have. We've done multiple studies on lettuce, more of a lateral movement from drip tape. Growers are facing with labor issues in California is saving that labor, where a lot of growers put out joint pipe, sprinkler pipe to germ up their crops, and then they switch to drip tape down the line. What we're doing and doing a lot of studies on and showed it very successful, which I'll show you here shortly, is having that more lateral spread and moving that salt out of the root zone and getting that moisture out across big beds, big bed lettuce, particularly along the coast or in the desert, to help with that spread and that labor savings. Really is where they're seeing the benefit of that, is not having the $200-300 per acre cost in setting pipe.
Yeah. So I think you were using a term last week, ditch the pipe or something like that, which I was happy to hear. So then what about strawberries? You have any case studies on strawberries?
We do have case studies on strawberries. We have a wide range of, strawberries, citrus, grapes, tomatoes, potatoes, multiple different vegetable crops. tree crops as well throughout the entire country, from Florida all the way to California. Mainly California, Florida, Georgia have been some big case studies, especially in the vegetable side of the market. And then, of course, high value crops, tree crops as well. A lot of case studies there. We've worked a lot with Syntech, which is up in Sanger area, and had quite a few research studies on there as well. And we, if we have someone interested in a particular crop, I can share more information with them directly as well. We have a certain amount of time. I just want to hit the highlights on everything today, and then we can have those more in-depth personal conversations about these one-on-one down the road.
And so one last question for right now, and that is turf in residential areas, right? Urban area turf, for HOAs or homes or parks or sports fields. Do you guys have a product for that as well?
Yes, we do. It is not the same products that you see here. If they contact me, I will get them in contact with our T&O guy, and he will work with them on it's the same technology, same products. Turf side usually has a different names in their fields. But they do have the same effects and same outcome as well, especially on sports fields and home residentials and golf courses as well.
Yeah, like you say, you treat the soil, not the
crop.
Plant, right?
Exactly. So this is one study we did, and this goes back to the soil movement. We're talking about lettuce. We did this with David Holden out in Ventura. I'm sorry. And we measured moisture 3 inches down and 8 inches down. From the drip tape, 5 inches out and 10 inches out. And I'm just going to show you the 3 inch down and 5 inches out, just because it gets really cumbersome of how much data there is. And so again, we could share more data and have that personal conversation down the road if you guys are interested in this. The irrigation time was 7 hours. It was set for 24, but again, it was adjusted down to the grower's pump time that he had. And we used Tolero at 1 quart per acre. And so these are the results we saw at 1.5 hours. Tolero was really working really good. And that water was not that far behind, but come 3 hour time, twice that amount of time, Tolero just took off. And it showed that, hey, we can move that water faster and more efficiently. And again, if you're pumping at 5 hours, what we're seeing here is the fact that we can potentially save 2 hours worth of pumping time to get that water to the same location and the same volume out. And so we really see a benefit here where, again, we're treating the soil, and there's a benefit. There are ROI return to the grower is that pump time and that nutrients. You're not leaching out. You're not wasting water. You can conserve your water that you're putting out as well. So it was really great to see this information that we had gathered from David Holden.
And Mike, that's a couple hours pumping time every day.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. So
every time
14 hours in a week and, 50 some hours in 56 hours in a month.
Exactly. It adds up quite a bit. 2 hours doesn't seem much in one day if you're irrigating once a month, but it is a savings ultimately, whether it's diesel or even water savings as well. This was another one we did with Fresh Market tomatoes in Georgia. And it was a commercial size plot where we actually reduced the water amount 40% from what the grower standard was. And we used 2 of our products, which was Strata and Tolero. Strata was our 2 quart per acre is our typical higher rate, and Tolero is 1 quart per acre. And these were done every 4 weeks, which our application time is 3 to 4 weeks from initial application. And there was only 3 applications in this trial that we did for the entire season. And so the big thing we wanted to see was soil compaction and then also yield from that. And so with that is, as you see, the standard grower practice, 100% water, which is a standard practice, of course. This is soil compaction, so PSI you see on that left-hand side of the chart. Now, when he reduced that 40% of the water to 60% of the water that he typically would use from his 100%, he had quite a bit more compaction in his soil because he's not getting that moisture spread. He's not moving those salts out, of course. There's just more that comes to it. He's not hydrating that soil. It's just compacting itself. Now, again, we did with Strata was 60% water at the 2 quarts per acre for a season long. And we had 32.2 PSI per square inch on that bed. And so that's a massive decrease in that water savings. Plus you lessen the amount of compaction you had in that soil. So the roots have more free zone to walk or move around in that soil and really search for the nutrients they need and to really strive in the crop. And then of course, Tolero, another great result there. We're still hitting the grower standard at that under 50% or 50 PSI that he had as well with Tolero. So great results we saw from those as well. A question that goes on that is, okay, well, how did the yield suffer? Did it suffer at all? What did you guys see? So this is what we saw on the yield side from that same trial. That's just the 100% water is what the grower would typically yield from his field. 6 cents water, he saw, of course, we saw more compaction, right? So the scale just totally changed, right? He saw less yield, of course, because he didn't water as much, but he had more compaction. Now using Strata and Tolero as well, we saw equal to or greater than the grower's standard yield that he would normally get from that 1 acre. And so this was a very big positive we saw for him. He saved 40% of his water and had a much healthier, more yielding crop as well.
Mike, I have a couple of questions here. And so just the clarification. So if he was using 6 acre feet of water, he's now using like 4 acre feet of water. Yep. Based on the 60%. And my numbers aren't exactly right, but close. Yep. And he's still he's getting better yields or the same yields.
Exactly. Just by using the products. And it's hard to take that justification where you tell a grower, cut your water back 40%, trust me. I'm not saying do that. Let's keep your water where it's at, try our product, and let the data show where it's at. And again, if working with Jane, you guys have a great water management program that you guys have developed. And working with you guys as well, we can monitor that moisture at 100% of your standard practice and see where it's going, and then adjust your water needs from there, and then really work backwards. I'd rather impress you on the front end and tune it back instead of starting out slow and say, hey, yeah, cut your water back, because it's going to be a hard sell at that point, and get a lot of people to trust you on that, especially as unknown as well as soil surfactants or IWS as well.
It's something somebody's experienced, right? One of your growers has experienced this, and that's quite impressive. We have a question coming in from Rod, and he's asking, is this a product like a non-iotic spreader used in post-emergent herbicides that also have a soil applied and injection labeling?
It's similar. We do have a different base. It's not an exact non-iotic NIS. It is similar chemistries. Again, we work in the adjuvant space, but it is a different chemistry that we use that is proprietary to us that we will help and promote. But yeah, it's similar soil surfactants that you would have in your spray tanks as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. And then another question from one of our great viewers who had a birthday a couple of weeks ago and wasn't on for his birthday. So anyway, happy belated birthday, John. Do you apply these products through the irrigation system? Is it through, how do you apply them?
Yeah, so everything is applied through injecting your soil and injecting through your irrigation systems, I'm sorry. So we don't have any dry products that will go out and spread them. Ideally, if you're irrigating, this is how you put it out. So sprinklers, drip tape, micro sprinklers, so on. We can go through any irrigation systems. We are working with some flood products that we're mainly working at within Texas. And so we haven't brought those out to California yet, but if you are a flood grower, we are open to doing some trials if you do want to do some flood trials as well. But we're mainly working on that irrigation systems that inject right into it.
So it's all, so for ag, it's all a concentrated liquid solution that you mix with water.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Here is another trial we did, same company out in Georgia. This is with Strata. So they have a more sandier soil out there, beach sand. If you've ever been to Georgia and seen those type of soils, it's just a different type of soil than what we have out here in California. A little higher organic matter as well too. What we were looking at was a combination with quadris. And so while we don't, we just want to see if we can see a benefit of holding that active ingredient longer in the plant and the effectiveness of that. And so this is what the trial was about. Again, it was 9 ounces of quadris per acre, and then Strata was 2 quarts again. Same replica that we did on the last one. So the control is no quadris and no Strata at all. And so you saw the decline, and that's 37 days after application. So 17 days from application, or 17 days from the crop was put in the ground, I should say. As you go through it and you see, oh yeah, quadris did really well. It held its own for a while. And then towards the end, it tapered off like everything else, right? It biodegrades in the soil. Where when you add Strata, hey, we had a nice even curve across the entire length of that time frame. And so it gave the plant more time to uptake it and protect that plant longer and protect those roots longer in the root zone. And so there's just that much, what's the value of that worth to you? Do we have that that much more protection in your field and that level of protection as well. And these were the results we saw ultimately in the yield from the fruit weight. So again, control, obviously there's a decrease for psyllium wilt that you see there on top. And so they had 87% or 83% of the carton weight that typically had. Now Quadris alone, they had 250, that's a standard yield they would normally get. Now using Quadris plus Strata, again, holding that active ingredient in the root zone longer and giving the plant more time to uptake it and protect it and longevity, we saw quite a bit increase in yield just by having that in the root zone.
Mike, if you wouldn't mind going back to slide 9.
This one?
One more back.
One more, there you go.
Yeah, so this is 9 ounces per acre or 2 quarts per acre.
So Quadris was 9 ounces. That's the labeled rate for them for that crop. And Strata is 2 quarts per acre.
Yeah, so this seems like so little material, right? How do you mix this in? How do you get the right mix if you're using a Venturi system? I mean, is this complicated?
No, it's very simple to use, especially in Venturi systems. Most growers, have an injection port and they have a Venturi set up. If they can put a 55-gallon drum on the side and Venturi out of that, if they like, it's really working with the grower and finding out what irrigation system they use and what's their preferred method of injecting into their irrigation system, and we'll work with them. We've had no issues as far as plugging goes and drip tape. Of course, sprinklers and micro sprinklers have been no issue at all. They mix very well into the drip tape and without residue and plugging issue at all.
Wow. Okay, that's great. So if we go back to slide 11 now, please.
There we go.
48% yield increase. That's an amazing result, right? I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Exactly.
So then I'm starting to think this has got to be really expensive.
It's very expensive, right? What's it worth to you, right? Surprisingly enough, it is probably very cheap. Strata at the recommended rate, which is 2 quarts, is I believe it was $12 per acre per application, and that's every 3 to 4 weeks. It really goes back again to your soil type. If you're on more of a sandier soil, well, Strata fits in. I recommend personally every 3 weeks, just because you are in a sandier soil, and it really depends on the time of year. If you're on a hotter side, like I am down here in the desert, it'll degrade a lot faster down the desert in sands and the heat. Now, if you're in a cooler area, you'll have that 4-week expectation as well. But yeah, I mean, our products range from $10 to $15 an acre per application.
Yeah. So if I compare that to fertilizer costs or nitrogen costs this year in particular, it's really inexpensive, especially when you consider what you get on the other side as far as yield increase.
Exactly. It's very impressive. Everyone says it's got to be expensive. It does all this stuff. It's got to be expensive, and it's not. It's fairly affordable, in my opinion. If you can save, we talked about saving ditch the pipe, right? $200 to $300 per acre savings. Well, yeah. So how much is it going to cost me? $100 per acre. So you're going to dive in my pocket and take that other $100 out? No, it's the price the same across the board, no matter who you are. And great thing with Jane and IDC and ABI partnership is this product's available at all the locations as well. And so it's amazing that you can have this at such a great value as well.
Okay, so I'm very interested, right? As are a lot of the viewers. How do we get a hold of you? How do we get on the trial? We got some people today with questions that are going to all qualify for the trial if they want. What's the next step?
The next step, these are some of the items that we had talked about. The benefits of using IWOs from us is, you see germination. That's that lateral spread out from the drip tape. You can ditch the pipe, as we say, especially for the vegetable side of the crops. We can reduce plant stress with less water, right? So if you're in those areas where you're being forced to reduce your water, we can reduce that stress by increasing how much water you are getting by what you are available or allotted. And again, plant health, you're getting that fertilizer intake better. You're getting out those soil applied chemistries that are applied. You're uptaking those, and the plants are using those more efficiently and giving them more time to take them up. The crop quality as well. I mean, a healthier plant, you get better yield, right? You get a better crop. Its quality is everything. Irrigation efficiencies. Jane, you guys have developed great irrigation systems, but there's nothing we can do for sand spots through a clay field. I mean, it's just the matter is just there's nothing you can do. You can change the emitters in those areas, but how can we make that water spread? How can we just make that just that much more better in the yield? And that's where IWOs come in and really strive to make those irrigation systems way more effective. Again, crop yield, and again, ROI, that labor savings is a big thing that we're seeing, especially on the vegetable side.
Well, especially this year now too. So that makes a big difference. So another question coming in, just confirming that this can be applied through most irrigation systems very easily.
Very easily, very easily. And again, I would say almost every irrigation system we should have no problem with, but let's talk and we'll figure that out and go from there. Again, working with your Jane specialist or reaching out to me directly, and I'll have my contact information here shortly. Again, for 22, we are offering this free promotion of 50 acres free trial season long for any sizable operation that we consider 500 acres or more. You get me to come out and we'll talk and figure out what product works best, and we'll build it from there and collect that data, and we'll be with you through the whole steps. So that's really what we're looking for through this is we'll give you free product and gain more data from you and testimonials and having you as a partner in our building of IWOs in California and Arizona as well. And so that's what we're looking for in a partnership. And of course, working with Jane and IDC and AVI through this as well. And here's my contact information. If anyone has any more questions or wants to reach out directly, feel free to write it down. Richard, I believe you'll have this information as well that you can share with viewers as well at a later date.
That's correct. And I want to remind everybody that you'll get a recording of this video later on this afternoon. We'll send that back out to everybody. So you'll always have Mike's information to get a hold of him. And Mike, you said something that's really important, I think. You said many things that are important, but for the trial, I'm not just going to get like a pallet of product on my front door. I'm going to get help, application help. I'm going to get some consulting help from you or the Jane Water Management Consulting Services team or somebody at AgriValley or IDC. And I think that's so important, right? Because, you know, I want to try new products, but sometimes I have questions. And when I'm not familiar, having that readily available from you guys is worth a lot. So thank you for that. Yes.
Like I said, anytime reach out. I am up and down the state quite a bit. Obviously, I'm down in Southern California. I do make my trips up north quite often. It's just planning them out and visiting with everybody and finding what product works for their operation, their budgets. Obviously, I don't think budget's really going to be a big issue for a lot of people for the cost of this product, but it really goes back to the soil and the science of what soil you have to find out the right fit for your operation and what you're trying to accomplish. And I look forward to talking to more of you guys and building that relationship.
Okay. And gee, Mike, we just had a comment in the chat that said your actual email address is incorrect here. There's no S on the end of Precision Labs. Is that right? Is it Precision Lab?
It might have been an auto check. Sorry. Just take the S off. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, everybody knows now. So thank you for that comment. We really appreciate it. Mike, thanks so much. This was really insightful. I really learned a lot, as I know everybody else did as well. Really love it when some other products can help our irrigation and help the Jane message of more crop per drop really come through. It's a nice partnership. Thank you. And listen, everybody checking in, thanks very much. Call Mike, take advantage of this offer, or call your Jane rep or your AgriValley or IDC person as well. And let's get some trials started. It'd be fun to come back a year from now, or at least the end of the season, and see how we did. And so hopefully, Mike, you come back and we can report on that. And that would be really fun to do.
Thank you, Richard. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the questions. Again, if anyone else didn't ask a question, you guys are interested in the product, reach out. We can work something out. I'm not opposed to doing free trials for everybody. It meets the qualifications. And if you're not, let's still talk. I have no problem working with anyone on this, especially gathering more data on the ag side and building the rapport through this industry.
Yeah, great offer. Thank you. Remember, all our videos are on janesusa.com/trainings. You can see well over 150 of them now. And we're also, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. That's one of my favorite things to think about, that people are driving around job to job or out in the fields and educating themselves while they work. It's really motivating to me. So thanks, everybody. We'll be back here on Friday. Corey Broad's going to be talking about getting your irrigation system ready for summer season now while you have the time to do it. So thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Mike.